Well, good Tuesday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. We're knee deep into the offseason, but I have some good news for you. There is plenty to talk about because 1 week from today is the beginning of franchise tagging. And of course, we know that we have Tony Pollard, who most likely will be tagged in hopes of getting a deal done where they can save some cap space. The franchise tag for a running back is about $10 million. And I dare say that he is very, very important to their plans. Beyond that, we do not know what the Dallas Cowboys' plans are. We haven't heard Stephen Jones talking about value. We're looking for value. We haven't heard the Cowboys saying we're going to take risk and try and get some players. We honestly don't know. If recent history or the last 26 years is indicative of it, we've signed very few free agents from. We did sign T.O. back in the early 2000s. We signed Brandon Carr and Greg Hardy, and that's it. But clearly the landscape has changed completely in the NFL, where you have to get those hired assassins. You have to bring in a little bit more oomph to get you over the hump. And right now, teams are still deciding on who their quarterback is. Interesting thing yesterday I heard was on 105 The Fan. Shout out to my man Wade for sharing me the clip saying, this is interesting. The question was, is Dak Prescott still the best quarterback in our division after the down year he's had? Is Jalen Hurts now the best one? Well, unfortunately, it's kind of hard to quantify which really is the best. One, Dak Prescott broke his thumb, has a metal plate and steel that's in screws that is going to be in his hand for the rest of his life. So he missed those 5 games. And two, I don't know if you can compare the same talent, apples to apples. When you look at how good the offensive line was for the Eagles this year, how good the running game was for the Eagles, and the amount of weapons that he had to throw to. Dak didn't have all those things. And I know people just say, he's just a garbage-ass quarterback. Well, you could go through and you could try and get Lamar Jackson if you wanted to, or you could go out and try and get Derek Carr if you wanted to, or you could try to get a multitude of these different quarterbacks. And hypothetically, if you could get Jalen Hurts and put him into where the Cowboys are, you can see what happened with Jalen Hurts before he got all of those things that they added last season. They lost to Tampa Bay, 2 interceptions. And so the lesson here is not about replacing Dak as much as it is replacing some of the guys that you have as your starters. I got no problem with Noah Brown being on my team, but I don't need him to be my number 2 wide receiver. He should be 4th or 5th at best. We need another playmaker at wide receiver. Just do. We're going to need some more help at linebacker. We're going to need some more help on the defensive line. We might need some help at cornerback. And we can't get all that through the draft. We just can't. Now, we've got a couple extra or 3 extra compensatory picks, which will help to the mix. But you don't look at guys down the line and say, our 3rd-round pick is going to replace Napari Cooper. It's just not going to happen, not in year 1. Maybe 2nd year or 3rd year it does. But the Cowboys sometimes get drunk on what happens in the past for them. They did well with Michael Gallup, so they assumed that they would automatically drafting another receiver in 3rd round, that he is going to be able to step up immediately in Jalen Tolbert. But the Cowboys have drafted well in beating the curve. But you can't expect that all the time. And that's where free agency is another tool to help bring you some assets. Now, right now, we've got the quarterback shuffle that's going on. An interesting thing is Derek Carr went to New Orleans to visit to try and work out a trade, which it sounded like New Orleans and the Raiders had a deal in place. But I think actually Derek Carr realized that New Orleans is the place I want to go, but I don't want to hamstring him by giving up compensation. And so he's basically said, nah, I'm not going to waive my no trade clause. I'm going to keep it in place and expect to be released, which is kind of good, because he realizes if I go to from the Raiders to New Orleans, I don't want to send anything back if I don't have to. That's just going to make it harder for the new team I'm going to. Actually, a very wise move by one Derek Carr. We'll see how that transpires. There'll be more quarterback movement, of course, because we have today Brett Favre going into his sabbatical. He's going to go his 4 days of darkness sabbatical. That's going to be interesting. And then come out with a decision on what he's going to do in the future. Wow. Okay. All right. That's cool. 49ers are going to let go of Jimmy Garoppolo, so he's going to be out there. We know the Commanders are going to cut Carson Wentz and take a big cap hit. And we'll see where else everything else shakes out. We'll see if Seattle pays the price for Geno Smith and believes that he is now the franchise quarterback that they need, and so on. I have to get out of here early this morning, so we're going to get to Rich Eisen with Derek Carr's situation.
So apparently the word came out that Aaron Rodgers is going into his darkness therapy 4-day stint of being in the dark today.
Darkness.
Pat McAfee just said he's going in tomorrow. And before he goes into darkness, he's going to call in the Pat show on his Tuesday.
Yep.
I wonder if mushrooms are involved.
And again, like I was talking about with Rob Riggle at the end of our week last week, could you imagine the Green Bay Packers in the direction of your franchise? All you're hearing is like, if he wants to stay, great. He looks at us and says he's all in. He's going to be all in. I don't know what that means. Was he not all in last year? If he's going to be all in, great. Then let's do it. If he wants out, great. Just let us know. We kind of need to fire up some of these trades that we got going on here. Mm-hmm. People are kind of calling us right now to front load getting Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure the Jets are one of them.
I think so.
And the Raiders have to be one of them too. One would think, although you're hearing, hey, McDaniels likes Jimmy G. He wants to have his own guy. He is not going to be taking on Aaron Rodgers at age 40, ring hunting in Vegas. And figuring out what he likes to factor in to what he runs. McDaniels runs. Like Jimmy G is that guy. He knows who Jimmy G is, and he knows he's going to run exactly what Josh McDaniels wants. I don't know what's true or not. But all I know is the one guy who's, and by the way, Damian Lillard came on NFL Network game day morning.
Yeah, I saw your picture.
He did not stutter when I asked him, who do you want to be the Raiders quarterback? And his answer was, I'm glad you asked, Rich. Aaron Rodgers. But the one guy who definitely is not is Derek Carr. And Carr this week has to be released or paid $40 million by the Raiders. Clearly the Raiders.
By Wednesday, right?
Raiders are not going to pay him $40 million.
Can I take a guess what's going to happen?
Because they sent him home. And so apparently they had a trade all set with the Saints.
And
the Saints, according to all reports, wanted Derek to negotiate. Yeah. So Derek's like, okay, I'm going to take less to make sure I go to you. And in so doing, the Raiders get compensation for this?
Yeah, nope.
There are two words that apparently, he's a religious man, he won't say. Right. We don't have those problems. We would say those words, but his words are pound sand. There's a lot of sand
two
here.
Words for you.
There's a lot of sand here in this town where Mo Green made something out of it.
Logan Roy likes to say those two words.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of sand here. You can pound it. And then he'll go find his new home somewhere else, but it ain't going to be Vegas. And, I saw that, and I'm like, salty Derek Carr, attaboy. Like, okay, so we're going to all make a deal because I'm supposed to love New Orleans so much?
Mm-hmm.
I love New Orleans so much that I'll go to them the day after I'm released. And then we'll talk about the contract with them then. If they want to renegotiate it and I really want to go there, great. Let's just have me released. You're not going to get a damn draft choice out of the team I'm going to.
Right. I respect Derek Carr.
After you sent me home for Christmas? Literally. It was Christmas Eve where he threw those interceptions in Pittsburgh. And they decided to fly him home and say, stay home. We're going to start Jared Stidham the rest of the year to see what we have in him. Yuck. You know what they have in him?
Nothing.
That was this entire time. I'm like, you're hearing the Raiders saying, yeah, well, I think we can make a deal with him. We can trade him. Get out of here. Because if you're going to acquire Derek Carr, I mean, you're going to want your own contract with him. You're not just going to accept whatever's coming from another team. Uh-huh. Derek, you choose us, we choose you, we'll make a deal. And Derek's like, sounds good to me. Part of that deal, one thing's not part of the deal, is the Raiders getting better in any way, shape, or form.
There's no love for the Raiders.
Using draft capital from the team I'm joining. That's one extra guy I might not be playing with.
No dice.
Did you call Tom after you saw the video of him on the dunes?
All right, so.
No, you know what?
Well, there we go. Derek Carr is like, no way, no how, I'm helping the Raiders. So we'll see what the Raiders do. If they do not release him by tomorrow, they take a $40 million cap hit. Ouch. So expect Derek Carr to be a free agent. I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate you guys as always. Peace.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and